Hello and welcome to our second in a series of video casts specifically designed for our clients. My name is Adrian Stalley. I'm Head of Partnerships here at Ultimate Finance, and today I'm joined by Thomas Ferguson, Head of Business Development and Access to Funding. Here at Ultimate, we believe in giving our clients access to experience and advice from industry-leading organisations. It's a really important part of being the funding partner of choice. Access to funding are completely independent from Ultimate, but increasingly a number of our clients are using them and interested in their services, and we've been really impressed with the way they look after our clients, very much sharing those values of making sure that the client comes first and their needs. So today Thomas will talk through their services, particularly with R&D tax credits, and he promises to use less acronyms than an episode of Line of Duty, so it will all be clear on exactly what additional money might be entitled to for your business. And we're also joined by Steve from NSF Foods, who happen to be a client of both Access to Funding and Ultimate Finance. So Steve, welcome. And so it's really important that we can share those sort of stories of where clients have actually benefited from how these facilities complement each other. And we've got Dec Peers, one of our highly respected relationship managers as well, who can also shed some light from our side in terms of how it all fits together. So they're the intros. Welcome, everybody. Firstly, turning to you, Thomas, can you just tell our listeners a little bit more about Access to Funding to start with?
Yeah, of course. So Access to Funding have been around for around about 7 years now. We moved into the R&D market. Believe it or not, so we've been generating tax liability, reducing tax liabilities for our clients quite well over lockdown. Over the past 12 months, we've been able to generate around about £23 million back to clients like NSF Foods, helping over 1,300 claims, I think it was, over the period of last year, through the government's R&D initiative. So R&D tax credits are one of the government's flagship initiatives to support innovative companies where they are investing time, money into technological and scientific advancements. They're able to get a proportion of those costs back for the investment through the R&D tax credit initiative. Okay, so research development tax credits and understanding the value. So obviously we joined Adrian, Dec, myself and Steve. So on this slide there, so Access to Funding a position nationwide. So we have a headcount now of over 80 staff right the way across the UK. We've actually quadrupled our headcount. We started the turn of the year last year with 16, and like I say, we've been through quite a recruitment drive over the past 12 months. And as you can see, we're right the way across the UK, from Aberdeen, Northern Ireland, right the way down the south coast as well. So the company overview, we've got, like I said, dedicated front-end business development team of 27. We have the client account managers who essentially write the report and dig out the R&D and write the computations on behalf of the client. We also have a number of tax specialists and chartered accountants within the company. And obviously, as it says on the slides there, we have 100% success rate on everything we do. And we do it with great care and attentiveness to all of our clients. So what is R&D tax credits? So research development tax credits is a government initiative that reward UK-based limited companies for investing time, money and effort into, say if it's designing a product, a process, a new material or a device, they're able to get the reward back through R&D tax credits. Those who have a process where they've had trial and error in order to get to an end result, it's those failings that we're interested in, and usually that's where the R&D actually takes place. A few benefits of claiming R&D. So it's a great way of reducing tax liabilities for your company. If you're a loss-making business, the initiative works slightly better. So the reward back to your business is slightly more profitable. It creates more business sustainability. So we obviously work with Ultimate Finance and NSF Foods. They were able to sort of reinvest their money into the company due to the cash injection that they received back into the business. You can go back to previous financial years, so any innovation that you've taken place, we can actually review 2 previous financial years and your current year, and then every year you are undertaking R&D, we can actually claim the benefit back as well. It's claimed by a wide array of industries. It's not just for food manufacturers like NSF Foods. We've helped construction clients, manufacturing clients, engineering, for example, is our core market that we actually support. And the benefits of using ourselves is no upfront costs, and the fees are paid upon the success of the claim. So Steve, I'm just gonna stop sharing my screen there. Sort of pose some questions to yourself if that's okay.
Sure.
So obviously, can you just please introduce yourself and what NSF Foods it does as a business, please?
Yes, of course, Thomas. NSF is a business that specialises in seafoods, with a large part of that being imported from Asia and South America. We have customers in the UK and Europe, made up of retail, manufacturing, further food processors, and food service. We produce product under our own brand, as well as bulk product for further processing. We are a small team of 6 in the UK, but we have offices overseas that support the business there.
Perfect. Thanks very much for that. And can you just tell us how you were introduced to Access2Funding, please?
Yes, it was a 2-pronged attack, actually. It was via Dec, our ultimate finance account manager, and a member of your staff, Lee, who I'd had a previous relationship with. He pointed out the benefits of the R&D tax claim when he came to Access2Funding.
Perfect. Okay. And how much money were you able to claim back through the R&D tax relief initiative with Access2Funding?
Yeah, it's a total. In the first year, we claimed back just over £19,000. And in the second year that we did it, it was 24,500. So a little short of 55,000 in the 2-year period.
So a worthwhile process then.
Absolutely.
Yeah, great.
Absolutely.
So how did you find the process and all then? Sort of, was it quicker than you expected? Was there any sort of hiccups along the road that we helped you support you with? How did that look?
Well, once we understood the initial process and we got to grips with the criteria, it was quite painless, to be honest with you, and quite a smooth process.
Good to hear. Always nice to hear. With a large part of your business operating overseas, were you sort of surprised at all with, you were still able to actually claim for the tax relief?
Yes, I was very much surprised initially. We'd been approached in the past, not necessarily by Access2Funding, but we'd been approached in the past, and I didn't think it was something that was beneficial for our business. So yeah, I was surprised how much of the process we were able to claim.
Okay, and obviously you've alluded there. So do you think the hospitality, food and beverage sector are actually missing out on the tax relief because they may not understand the criteria or the eligibility within that particular sector?
Absolutely. I mean, speaking from my own past experiences, is exactly that. I didn't understand the criteria until it was explained, and yeah, it would be my belief that people are missing out because of that.
Okay, so your background is in food preparation and kitchen management. So it's obviously been sort of a tough time for the catering hospitality sector, and
Sure.
Many, as you've sort of alluded to there, may not understand that they can qualify as part under the R&D criteria. What message would you sort of give that sector to sort of ease their mind about claiming?
I think they need to have a good hard look at it, because, as I say, the initial understanding the criteria, once you've got that and you understand where you can go with it, that there's a big benefit. And for us, we were surprised in how much of the process we could claim for, and what fitted into the criteria. So without a doubt, these guys should be having a look at that in a lot closer detail.
Okay, and just finally for me then, so how does the claim with R&D complement access to Ultimate Finance offering for you?
Well, clearly it works both. It works very well for us because we have good support from Ultimate Finance, and having the R&D claim just puts cash back in our pocket. It helps with the costs of the development. Development is largely done overseas. There is a certain proportion that's done here, but the bulk of it is overseas. So there is a cost, and quite a large cost, involved in doing that. So getting that funding back into the business encourages us really to continue with the process. And that's good for the business because food business is ever evolving, and we need to be looking at the latest trends and what's around the corner. So for us, this gives us a little bit of a peace of mind that there is some funding that can come back because of this process.
Okay, perfect. Thanks very much for that, Steve.
No problem.
Fabulous. If I can just pick up from there, and thank you, Thomas, and thank you, Steve. Just a few things as I was just listening in from the outside. Firstly, Dec, just from a client management perspective, yeah, we offer great invoice finance solutions and the like. How valuable do you see this, though, as an R&D potential reclaim to other clients? Because you're at the coalface, so to speak, talking to clients on a daily basis.
Yeah, that's it. It's very valuable. Just good to have that additional support from Access2Funding and that partnership just in our locker to offer our clients. Potential there, as we just spoke about, for clients to reclaim some money that they're owed and that they're entitled to. So yeah, having the partnership it's really helpful.
And there's no conflict, just to put people's minds at rest, because obviously what we do, the fact that this sits alongside that, there's absolutely no conflict in the two facilities.
No conflict at all. We work closely with Access2Funding and obviously closely with our clients every day. So yeah, completely separate to what we offer. Fabulous.
Steve, so thank you again for sharing your story. And you mentioned just once you understood it, how straightforward that process was. How would you sum up sort of the expertise? I'm sure the reason, and hopefully the reason it became very straightforward, is because of the expertise that Access2Funding brought to that. So were they a large part of that sort of success story in terms of, by turning to them, they made that process very slick for you?
Very much so. I mean, once we understood the process and what we could and couldn't do, it became very easy. And our contact at Access2Funding guided us through that process in the initial stages. And the first claim required a bit more input, as you would expect, because we weren't sure, and your colleague was understanding our business as well. But the second one was even smoother, and I would expect the third one to be even smoother again. So yeah, it was very smooth.
And that leads me on, Thomas. I mean, Steve mentions there that the third one, obviously looking ahead. So as long as these sort of things happen in the business, still, it's an ongoing claim that you can look at year after year after year.
Yeah, most definitely. Like I say, getting the client, so it's like Steve there, getting to understand their criteria initially in terms of what can and can't be claimed, is the hardest part of the full process. And obviously, we get to know your business. They get to know ours in terms of how we work, and then we sort of tend to put some procedures in place. So a lot of our clients actually have an R&D folder that they create, and then as they do the work continuously, that goes into the R&D folder, which then one of our researchers and writers can then pick that up in the third year and ongoing as well. So yeah, as long as there's sort of innovative work that's being carried out by staff, subcontractors, whoever it may be within the organisation, the business can claim for the tax credit. Yeah.
Fabulous. And Thomas, you mentioned, which is a massive claim of 100% success, and I know it's true, by the way, so I absolutely don't doubt that. But is that because that initial consultation process is so important and so easy really for clients to look at?
Most definitely. Like I said, we try and take the onus away from the client. Obviously, we do need the client's input in order to get the project detail. However, our in-house expertise, our writers, the experience that we've done with other clients within a certain sector, that's where it pays dividends. You know, our chartered tax accountants, our tax specialists, all these people within the organisation have touch points within the claim. You know, that is probably the main reason why we do have a 100% success record across the business.
Fabulous. I think all businesses over the last 12 months plus have certainly had implications from COVID. I've almost got through the whole thing without mentioning the word, but there you go. Thomas, do you think that with people having to find new ways of working, are you going to see much of an uplift with R&D because of the search for or research of new ways of working, or is that pretty much neutral?
It depends on industry. If I'm to be vague about it, I would hate to say yes or no to that question. Obviously, because we need to do our own sort of research on the back of that. But obviously, COVID has had a massive effect on businesses, and they are looking at other ways that they can raise capital within the company and reduce liabilities. And if we can help support that in a tax perspective, then we're welcome you with open arms and try to get you through that process and get, like you say, as Dec mentioned there, the money that you are owed back from HMRC into your account.
Brilliant, no problem. So Steve, someone who runs a business, obviously R&D tax credits and things, is it fair to say that, but prior to the introductions that you mentioned earlier in terms of how you found out about this, that your knowledge of even cash being available from this source was pretty minimal, and that would probably be the same for many business owners across the country?
Absolutely. It was very limited, and I as I said, I'd been approached a couple of times in the past about this, but didn't have a clue really of how it worked, or even because so much of my development is done overseas, that it would apply. But it clearly does. So yeah, definitely.
A nice surprise, excellent. And Dec, from a client management perspective, you've obviously got a large number of clients within your own portfolio. Would you say that awareness is still fairly low? I know you do a great job in trying to get that message out, but just generally out there in the business world.
Yeah, I would say so. It is pretty much like what Steve said. It's pretty minimal, and I think it's a good thing that we have. It's a good example of showing that, us, Ultimate Finance, isn't just another lender. We have other things that we can offer as well, and that's this sort of partnership with Access2Funding. There's a lot to offer from us and from our side, and I think the relationship managers across the board, they're always looking at how to get those offerings across to our clients, and this is a perfect example of that.
Fabulous, thank you. And gentlemen, you all paint a very great picture of how this can work very well. So Thomas, I know it's different from each business, but from having that initial conversation and you saying, there is a potential claim here, apologies if I missed it, but if you can just recap on just sort of approximate timescales, because again, Steve mentioned the great news of getting cash back into the business, but what sort of timescales are we looking at?
Yeah, typically we work on an 8-week process. So from the point of speaking to the client, sort of having that initial fact find, we would usually sit the eligibility call, dig out maybe 2 or 3 projects on that call and identify if there's legs in the R&D. We would then get the support of our writers and researchers, who would then collate all the data, write the report on behalf of the client, the computation, and then that would, like I said, that would go through our QC checks into finance. The chartered accountants would then submit that to HMRC, and there's usually around, depending on what HMRC's mercy at that point, but usually it's around about a 40-day turnaround to get that benefit back to the client, whether that be a cash refund or the reduction in tax liability. Like I say, we usually work on sort of an 8 to 10 week process.
And from what I've gathered from what you've all said this afternoon, it's almost always just worth that initial inquiry call, because many business owners won't know what they can claim for. And again, I'm assuming, Thomas, you guys and your staff will very quickly turn around and say that you haven't got a case, or there's something here that we can pick up on. Yeah,
I mean, one of my favourite case study examples is one of my clients in the northeast. They sat with another provider who was able to support with R&D, and they sat with, I think they had 5 meetings, and there was no R&D identified within the business. We went in, it was a construction client. Within 20 minutes, there was definitely scope for the client to claim. They've just done their 3rd year claim with us, and the return back to them was £250,000. Wow. So even if you've already been told no, I think we're in a good position to sort of maybe give a second opinion on that if it's needed.
Fabulous. That's really important to know, and I appreciate that. Gentlemen, I really appreciate you taking the time this afternoon to talk through your experience. Thomas, talking through the services that Access to Funding offer, and Steve, really appreciate you coming on and just talking through your own experience of going through this process, because we can talk as much as about how easy it is, but having someone who's actually successfully been through it, there's no bigger advocate than that. And of course to Dec for being part of our fabulous relationship management team. I hope everyone has found the video cast this afternoon to be informative and hopefully thought-provoking in maybe a new way forward to complement the facilities they've already got in place. So until next time, I wish you all well, and look forward to if you join us next time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.